guys, I'm your master teacher Ankana for Social Sciences and Vedanta, hoping all of you are doing absolutely amazing. What's up, people? Welcome to the second session of our chapter Transport. In the last session, we discussed why transport is important and we discussed about roadways. If you've not watched the video already, please go and watch the session 1 of this chapter. Let's quickly get started by discussing the solution, the answer of the previous question, of the question given in the previous session. It was National Highway Authority of India, and people who have answered the fastest are Abhinav A, Suchi Mama and Rampada Mandal. Congrats guys, I'm so proud of you people. You can also make it to the leaderboard. All you need to do is just make sure that you are putting your answers in the comment section, not just in the live chat. Okay, so this is what we are going to do today guys. We are going to cover railway, Indian Railway, its advantages, disadvantages, and basically we'll start with the airways as well. So let's quickly get started with Indian Railways. Now what makes railways so important? Bacha, it is the principal mode of transportation, yeah, and it always has helped in accelerating the development of industries, of agriculture, and that is, I think, what has made railways so important. In India, the whole system is taken care of, operated by Ministry of Railways. The first railway was started between Mumbai and Thane, which was around 30 kilometers, 34 kilometers, I think, in 1853. India has the fourth largest railway network with 1.2 lakhs of total track. That is huge. And it just not just operate, in long tracks or long distances. We have everything. Indian railway system operates for both long distances as well as suburban railways, local railways also. And 49% of the routes are electrified, whereas 33% are multi-track. Now let's quickly discuss the types of railway gauges. So bacha, depending upon the width of the Indian railway tracks, it is divided in 3 types: broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge. So broad gauge is basically when the tracks have a width of 1.676 meter. Meter gauge is 1 meter, as the name suggests, and narrow gauge is 0.762 meter, less than a meter. Let's get started with broad gauges, which is also known as India gauge. Okay, broad gauge is also known as India gauge, and it is used in most part of the country. It covers around 85% of the total good transfer that is happening, because it is very idle for that purpose. Around 50% of the total tracks, of the total length we have, is actually broad gauge. Okay, why is it installed over here? So its major purpose is guys, to serve, to basically connect the major ports with the other cities, to facilitate the export, the transfer, the travel of transportation of raw goods. Okay, not just in India but to other parts of the country as well. In fact, the Konkan Railway, which we will also see when we are discussing the zones, in the South India, is considered as a marvel, that Konkan line, because it just crosses so many areas. It crosses around a tunnel of 6.8 kilometers. It's just beautifully built, and the kind of terrain that it covers in total is amazing. The number of rivers it passes by, mountains and everything. And the railways, guys, remember, connects the major cities. Sialda, Delhi, Duronto, the distance, the train which connects this is actually the fastest long distance train. Okay, so that is basically the broad gauge train. If we talk about meter gauge, this covers around 11% of the total length, and it is mostly used in the northern UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, all these areas. As you know, the width is 1 meter between the tracks. The narrow gauge is mostly used in the hilly areas where the terrain is very uneven, In those areas, the width is not taken too much, broader. It is kept a little narrow. Also, guys, after independence, what happened was India decided that it's going to convert, because broad gauge is the most idle. They have made sure that they are going to convert most of the other gauges into the broad gauge to facilitate the transportation of goods and passengers, and also to be able to support the general traffic, which they anticipated would be increasing. Now, how is railway managed? As I told you, although it falls on the Ministry of Railways, there is a proper railway board which takes care of it. And we have around 17 railway zones, which the entire network of the railways is further divided into, which forms the basic operating units for Indian Railways. If we quickly talk about these zones, guys, as I told you, you can have a look at the picture. These are your 17 zones, but out of these 17 zones, Konkan Railways is taken as a separate zone. So basically, you'll find 16 zones over here, which comes under the Railway Ministry. The Konkan zone comes under the railway, the whole zone comes under the Railway Ministry. Okay. Now, if we talk about the progress of how Indian Railways have happened, in 1950, the diesel engines were replaced by steam engines. It's wrong. I'm sorry, it is a switch. The steam engines were replaced by diesel engines, guys, in 1950, not the other way. So as you know, you might have seen in the older movies also that there used to be steam engines earlier. People used to use coal, put it in that steam and create it, put it in the fire, in the furnaces, and create more and more steam, and that would produce the power to run the trains. But that eventually after 1950 got replaced by the diesel engines, which was more feasible. And the production of diesel engines is not just imported, but is actually happening in-house. We have places in Varanasi, in Jamshedpur, in West Bengal producing these diesel engines like Diesel Locomotive Works, Chittaranjan Locomotive or Locomotive Works. Okay. And not just that, guys, earlier, as I told you, it used to be the steam engines, which has now changed to electrical or diesel locomotives. The conversion also, the progress, because we're discussing the progress, we also see that the broad gauges are now being applied everywhere, implemented everywhere. Now, basically, whatever other gauges, the meter gauges or the narrow gauges which were there earlier, have now been changed to broad gauges. Not just that, the pattern of railway, the way it is distributed, has been well thought through. It has not just been laid down just like that uniformly all around the country. It has been thought through that what kind of railway network should be there in a particular terrain, in a particular topography, in the density, what kind of density is there of population in that area, what kind of climate it has, and accordingly the pattern has been designed and decided. If we talk about the advantages of railway, bacha, there are many. First of all, to begin with, is it is very, very cost effective. We discussed in the beginning itself that it forms the the principal mode of transportation in India. But it is not just for the passengers. It is also there for freight. Now you might be thinking what this is. It is basically for carrying the loads, the cargoes. Okay, you might have seen that the trains always have these boxes which carries a lot of goods from one place to other. So it's not just the principal mode for the passengers, but also for these goods which are transported. And of course, any form of transport for that matter unites people, and so does railway. It connects the different parts of the country from one part to the another corner, which is basically uniting the people. And it is the cheapest form of transport when it comes to the the transportation of bulky goods. If you want to send some steel, iron, making it through railways is the cheapest way then compared to the roadways or the airways or any other mode for that matter. That makes it very, very easy for these manufacturers, for the industries to have this transportation at a very feasible amount. And that is why it also always promotes industrialization everywhere it goes. We have been discussing this in social sciences also, that industrialization got more promoted when railways were introduced. And in any country, when it was been in the hand of, in the time of development of that country, railways have had a very important role to play. They also connect the hinterland, and you might be thinking what hinterland is, but your hinterland is basically an area which is kind of towards the interior of a land, and it is away from the coasts. Okay, so the land which is away from the coasts is connected to the seaports through railways. For example, Mumbai cotton textile industry completely depends on this because the interior lands are connected with the seaports through the railways. Then of course, As I told you, industrialization, urbanization, development, and economical development, all of these things are greatly promoted by railways. Railways play a very important role in the promotion and in, process of development of these things. It also integrates, creates integration within the state itself. Now, you might be thinking how? We were just talking about the connection across the land. So, but it's not just connecting the entire nation. Even if you talk about a particular region in terms of states, there are interstate railways also. So, it's not just connecting different corners of the country, but also within the state itself, a proper integration happens because of the railways. It interconnects all the cities, all the villages in that particular state. Then it definitely helps in the movement of heavy defense equipments. If huge troops, police, military, they have to travel within the country, they always take up the railways. And then of course transportation of all the commodities like that of agricultural or industrial is what is taken care of by the railways. The local trains, guys, as I was just discussing, so there are multiple trains which are running in the entire nation, trains which are running in the on the state level, but also within the cities. So the local trains in the cities are also creating a lot of easiness for the people traveling, commuting within the city. In fact, cities like Kolkata and Delhi have underground railway system which is also known as metros, right? And of course there are like some super fast trains which have now reduced the travel time and has made our lives very easy. For example, Rajdhani, which any other train would consume, let's say 16 hours, Rajdhani would just make that distance in 12 hours. So these super fast trains have also made our life very easy. And also the railways have helped in setting up many industries in areas like Bhilai, Durgapur, etc. And earlier the process was still a little more difficult because you had to go to the railway station to get the tickets, stand in that queue, and sometimes that would be over. But now it has become very easy and feasible for the passengers, and it has been a relief for them where right from the time the computerization of the ticketing has happened. Right from the time the tickets have become computerized, have been available through the computer, through the internet, the life of the passengers have become very easy because the booking of railways have become very easy. Right? And in the northern plain, guys, the railways have a very important role to play because they are more intense. The grid, the networking is more intense, or you can say thick over there. Now, what could be the reason? Plains, bacha, right? Putting up the railway tracks in plains is very easy. So the flat level land promotes the tracks and the railways, and they are forming a great thick system over there. It has also played a very important role in the development of the textile industry, be it in Maharashtra or be it for some other industry like in the plantation industry in Assam. So all of these things, all these industries have been actually boomed. They have actually developed with railways playing a very important role in that. But of course, if something has pros, it also has cons. Railways does not just come with advantages, it also has some disadvantages. Unlike roadways, it does not provide you door-to-door service. You cannot deliver the goods directly to your doorsteps. At the same time, bacha, the railways have not been maintained properly. The maintenance is not very frequent, as a result of which it is becoming a little unsafe. There are frequent accidents, or there are some attacks that could happen in terms of terrorist attacks. Some robbery could or loots could happen. So it makes the travel a little unsafe, unlike airways, or you could say waterways. These things are not very frequent over there. At the same time, the pressure of traffic with the increasing population, industrialization, urbanization, people commuting more, people getting more prosperous and traveling more, tourism, all of the increment in all these things is putting a pressure on the railways, which maybe it somewhere is not completely able to cope with. Then, as I told you, there is always poor management in terms of maintenance also. It's not just unsafe, it's poorly managed also. The amenities are not there. If you go inside, the washrooms are not maintained properly. It's dirty. The catering of food is not proper. So these are few disadvantages that we come across. At the same time, people who are working over there are not very well trained or skilled. A lot of the employees, which they need to be, which puts a lot of lives in danger also, which is a huge point of concern for us. If we also talk about the facilities or the cleanliness, right, because of the low maintenance which we just discussed, these things are not well maintained, they're not properly clean, the facilities are not there, which not makes the passengers very enthusiastic or motivated to travel through the railways. It kinds of discourages them. Then there is constant changes of policies, and the implementation takes a lot of time. The decision making takes a lot of time in implementing, which is always affecting the efficient running of the railways, and it is also hampering the people who are traveling, because they also get affected by these policies. But at the same time, it consumes a lot of, though it is connecting so many places, it has so many advantages, but it consumes a lot of resources in its running, be it electricity, diesel, or all of the increasing traffic rates, which is further leading to the increment in the prices. It consumes a lot of resources, and these are the disadvantages of the railways. And with that, we are done with the railways. Let's quickly get started with airways, guys. As you know, it is the fastest mode of transportation. Roadways, railways, waterways, no matter which other transportation mode of transportation you consider, airways rock. It has reduced the distances which you feel geographically between you, right? A distance of 2,500 kilometers can now be traveled in just 2.5 hours because of this fastest mode of transportation. It actually started in 1911 in India, but it properly made progress only after independence and got nationalized in 1953. The airport authority. So earlier how it was, there were two different authorities. There was Airport Authority, and there was International Airport Authority of India and National Airport Authority of India. Two different authorities which were taking care of the national domestic flying, and one also international flying. These two institutions got merged in 1995 on April 1st, and finally created one institution which was known as Airport Authority of India, AAI. Whenever you travel by airways, you will always notice AAI is written there on all the airports, because this is the authority which takes care of this. Now, what was the objective of this merging? Why did they got merged? It would have been more easier if the International Airport Authority was different and the National Airport Authority was different. The idea was to increase the man force, right? To increase the whole workforce and make sure that proper upgrades are happening. They are properly maintaining the civil aviation. Civil means not military, right? For normal civilians. The aviation that we have is properly maintained and managed and is taken care of. It was also to accelerate the process of integration and development, that the proper development is happening, expansion is happening, and the modernization is happening. Both the authorities were developed with this idea. Now, if we talk about the airways, okay, how airways was managed in India, guys, there were basically two major corporations earlier. There was Air India and there was Indian Airlines, but it got merged eventually just into being one, Air India, which after this merger became the 16th largest airlines in Asia, because it started operating in so many airports and almost connected 100 cities or more. Apart from these corporations, apart from Air India, we also have a lot of private scheduled operators. You might have heard of Indigo, Go, earlier it was Kingfisher, Air Deccan. All of these airlines are also there. Now, if you talk about classification of airport, bacha, there are three, okay, international airports and domestic airports. We have also something which is known as Pawan Hans Helicopter Limited. We will get to know what these are, but let's first discuss about international airports. As you know, they basically provide international services and are basically managed by Air India, okay. If you remember, I told you these are not just for private they're not just private scheduled operators unlike those other operators. They carry international passengers themselves here, and there are also a lot of foreign airlines who bring in or take away the international passengers, people traveling across the world. And this operation is actually happening over a bilateral agreement, which means it has been taken care of both the ends, on both the ends of in all the countries which the commutation is happening between. Also guys, this keeps on getting updated from time to time. It's not like we have decided this agreement, made this agreement and decided the terms and the conditions today, and it's going to be like that for next 50 years. It has to be updated and upgraded every now and then, and that keeps on happening. Okay, now the private operators are not are mostly allowed to operate only within the boundary of the country. Now you can see these are few major airports with the red marked in it, and all the international boundary and everything else is also marked. You can also see where the domestic airports are. So the red ones are international airports, international flights land over there. Now domestic airports, which if I talk to you about this, there are few custom airports like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, etc. Okay, and they have limited international operations by the national and foreign tourists and cargo chartered flights. They basically operate 5 to 6 domestic stations and around 17 international stations in 14 countries. And the domestic scene, basically the domestic, airports are majorly covered up by private airlines like Go, Indigo. They have completely, overpowered with their grid of their network of airlines and cargoes. So you see mostly the private airlines operating in the domestic airports. Right now, if you talk about Pawan Hans Helicopter Limited, Bacha, this is a service. Okay, it is a support service system which started providing services of helicopter. Okay, and it started by providing these services majorly to the petroleum sector, ONGC, Oil India Limited. So they started providing services to them when they were going to offshores. Okay, but it started from there, but it eventually got extended to state governments and public undertakings also, and also in the northeastern states. It was initially limited to just oil fields. Now the development of airport is not solely responsibility of private sector, which it earlier was. Now the government is also taking proper interest and is taking proper care of this, is not just outsourcing this. Okay, however the private participation is allowed. It's not like you're not allowed at all. In fact, the International Greenfield Airport, when it was built, developed in Cochin, there were a lot of NRIs who contributed to this. Okay, and a lot of loans from financial institutions were also taken for this building. Yeah, with that we have come to today's to the end of today's session. We will discuss further advantages and waterways and everything in the next session, so stay tuned guys. Let's quickly look at the homework question. Which among the following is the super fast train in India? Chennai Express, Shatabdi Express, Rajdhani Express, or both C and D? Guys, I just want to take a quick moment to make this announcement that how proud we are feeling, because we have actually had the best result in among all the online classes. And we are celebrating our super scores. We are celebrating the hard work of our dear students and our master teachers in IIT JEE Advanced. It is so cool that we have performed in such a marvelous manner. There are around 253 students who have qualified in the top 10,000 all India rank, which is really good. So you know, if this is what you want to achieve, you are in the right place, and these are the Vedants who have made us so proud. So guys, you know what helped them? What helped them was Vedantu Pro subscription. All of these problems that they had of doubts, of the schedule, of the language, notes, all of these problems were sorted for them with the benefits which now you can also avail. You get unlimited live classes. You do not have to worry whether the classes are premiered or whether they are live. You get access to all the micro sessions and crash courses. You get in-class live performance reports, and of course personalized attention. I think that's the most important thing. Whenever any class is going on, one thing that every student wants is to have a direct conversation or interaction with the teachers. So in these live classes, which is going to be unlimited for you, you're gonna have ample opportunity to interact and clarify all your doubts. So that's also there, right? And all the class teachers, the master teachers, everyone will make sure that when you walk out of that live session, you work with all your doubts clear and you work with all your concepts super sorted, right? And what you need to do for this, you just have to visit the link given in the description box or which is pinned in the comment section. Choose your grade, choose your board, check out all the details that's there. Then just click on the get subscription button and then you get 3 options of 1 month, 3 months and 6 months. Choose whichever plan is the best suited for you guys. If you feel you just want to give it a try, then go ahead with 1 month. If you're absolutely sure, then you go ahead with 6 months and be with us till your board exams and rock it in there. If you just feel that 3 months is enough for your preparation and you will be super sorted, then go with 3 months. The bigger package you take, the bigger dhamaka, the bigger jackpot you hit, because with that you get a bigger discount. And how can you avail this discount? So you can avail this discount by using this code AKEPRO, which is my coupon code. But whichever subscription you go ahead with, make sure you're using the code AKEPRO. That is what is going to give you access to the discount. And where can you get this? You just have to click on the link given in the description box or which is pinned in the comment section. And with this, we are done with today's session, guys. Do not forget to like the video. I will see you guys in the next session. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that whenever the next video comes, you get the notification immediately. On that note, guys, one quick reminder, do not forget to put your doubts in the comment section. Bacha, please put your doubts in the comment section, because that is where we pick your doubts from to discuss in the doubt and the mentee session. Otherwise, I won't be able to address it. So comment section, doubt there, that is where it has to go. Okay, and do tell me how did you like the session. I will see you guys in the next session. Till then, take good care of yourself, guys. Stay home, stay safe. Bye, people.